Patients getting paid. What a concept. If your story's anything like mine, you had to dial back your job or leave it altogether thanks to your chronic illness. The paychecks quit coming, but the bills didn't, right? I spent years weeding through the scam job sites for flexible jobs and scam trainings for how to start an online business. I learned about paying patient advocacy gigs by overhearing someone talking about them on a bus. It's crazy the amount of time, energy, and money I spent trying to figure out how to work for myself or others in a flexible way that could accommodate doctor's appointments and hospital infusions or just not feeling well. Take advantage of my years of learning these tough lessons and get right to how to do it for yourself by signing up for my course, Patients Getting Paid, where you'll learn where to find these jobs and how to put your best foot forward in getting them or how to create your own flexible opportunities. Sign up right now for more information. Go to FUMSnow.com/patients getting paid. Welcome to the FUMS Now podcast show, where you'll gain information, inspiration, and motivation for living your best life with multiple sclerosis. Find us online at FUMSnow.com. I'm your host, Kathy Reagan Young. Today's guest is Tamara Sellman, who is diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, which inspired her to go back to school to become a sleep technologist and a professional sleep educator. Her IH diagnosis was later abandoned when her neurologist in Seattle confirmed relapsing remitting MS was to blame for her continual fatigue as well as other symptoms of relapse, like tremor and migraine. She's been taking Tecfidera since her diagnosis in 2013 and remains in remission. Her first degree is from Columbia, and it's a journalism, editing, and publishing specialization, and you'll see that in her wonderful writing that I'll link to in the show notes. She's also a medical board-certified sleep technologist and a medical board-certified sleep health educator, allowing her to assist people using CPAPs, teaching people about sleep hygiene, and doing public health education work about sleep disorders. Add all of these educational and professional accomplishments with an MS diagnosis, and you've got a recipe for a great conversation. Let's go get to it. So, hey, Tamara, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah. So when I asked you what you'd most like to communicate on the pod, you said that people with MS are pretty likely to have sleep disorders, which contribute to our fatigue, and that MS is not the root cause of everything. I love that. And you said that so many people with MS who have had like a sleep study learned that they had something else wrong, not just the MS, like a sleep disorder, sleep apnea, restless leg, something like that, that was treatable. And that when they did, they literally wiped out or greatly reduced their fatigue. I know that just perked up everybody's ears. So this is a great place to start. So share with us, if you would please, some of those success stories of people with MS treating their sleep disorders instead of assuming it's MS, including your own, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll start with my own because that's the thing that started everything for me. Back in 2010, this is before I was diagnosed with MS. And I was having such bad daytime sleepiness that I would literally I was working as an editor at the time, and I had clients that I would work with through teleconferences. And I would literally be in a live meeting with a client and face plant into my laptop.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And then I'd wake up, because obviously that would wake you up if you're facing the laptop keyboard. And then they'd be like, "Are you okay?" And I was just, God, I'm so exhausted. And I'd always been really tired, but, working mom, who isn't tired?
Right.
Big deal. So my husband was also telling me that I was snoring a little bit, and I was like, and I would wake up and my throat would be raw. And I'm like, I wonder if there's something wrong. Now, this is also before I became a sleep professional. So this is just me being a civilian out in the world.
Right.
And so I went and had a sleep study. And my doctor wanted to rule out narcolepsy and also sleep apnea. And he did. And instead, I was diagnosed with something called idiopathic hypersomnia and upper airway resistance syndrome. So idiopathic hypersomnia idiopathic means of uncertain origin, or we don't know, mysterious. And hypersomnia meaning too sleepy. And so basically I'm just really sleepy, but they don't really know why.
We don't know why, but you're super sleepy.
And then UARS, upper airway resistance, is sort of, I mean, some people would argue that it isn't, but it's kind of a precursor to sleep apnea. It's where you have some resistance in your airway as you sleep, and it just makes it a little harder to breathe. And when it makes it hard to breathe, it takes more energy and you're just tired and you don't sleep as well, and you don't get through all of your sleep cycles as well.
Makes sense.
So there really wasn't any treatment for me for IH, although some people are given Provigil. I wasn't given anything. I did use an oral device to sort of open up my airway a little bit. And that worked for a while, but I still kind of snored and I was still pretty tired. And then 2013 rolls around and I was studying for finals. I was actually in my polysomnogram program where I was studying to become a sleep technologist. And I was studying for finals, reading this giant book I've been looking at and reading for months, and I couldn't read. I mean, I could see the words, I could discern figures on the page, but I couldn't comprehend them. And that was startling because I've been an editor and writer my whole life.
Yeah, this is an issue.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
And I'd had other symptoms that I just sort of cast aside. I had these paresthesias, which now I know what those are. And the fatigue was relentless and tremor in my leg. And so I went back to the doctor and really saw my primary. I got an MRI the very next day. And then the very next day after that, he gave me a preliminary diagnosis of MS. Okay.
Wow.
So that explains the hypersomnia. So like, okay, I don't have that anymore. I have this other more elegant, but treatable and no longer mysterious disease called MS. Thank goodness. And he gave me, actually it was my neurologist. She gave me Provigil to help me with shift work because I was starting to work overnight shifts at the sleep lab.
Oh.
And that helped tremendously. But on my days off, I was still really fatigued. But who could say what that was from, right? I mean, could it be the MS? Could it be sleeping, sleeping weird shifts and, during the day and at night and whatever?
And again, working mother.
And working mother. Yeah. So, I mean, it could be any of these things. So it's really hard. And I think that's the case for so many people. They just can't discern one symptom from another and know what the root cause is. So I still had this problem. And finally, I worked almost 2 years in this position before I finally just had to let it go because it wasn't healthy for me. I mean, circadian rhythm disruptions are not good for people anyway, but especially not if you have MS. Yeah. And so I decided to pursue my work as a sleep educator. And I'd also gotten a second credential as a certified clinical sleep educator, which is called CCSH. And that allows me the opportunity to go and talk to people about their sleep problems and help them with sleep hygiene and using their CPAPs and educating them in general about sleep disorders. And my background is in journalism. So that was the kind of the idea anyway, was to sort of turn that into a writing, option for me. So, So I'm going back to sleeping nights again, not working overnights. And it takes a while to kind of reshift back to normal sleep schedule. And I gave it some time, but I was still so tired, so tired. Even with Provigil, I would take Provigil and still need a 2-hour nap almost every day.
Gosh.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's stuff you're not supposed to be able to sleep on at all. And so I had another sleep study, and then they did confirm that I had developed full-blown moderate sleep apnea. So now I use CPAP. I've completely stopped using the Provigil. I'm awake all day, every day. And energetic most of the day. Alert, clear-headed. That fog, oh my God, the fog is mostly gone.
Good.
So occasionally I do get fatigued, and I know it's not from my sleep problems. It's definitely from my MS.
It's a gift from MS. And no more face plants into your laptop, right?
Oh my gosh. Seriously? Oh, geez. It was terrible. I feel so much better. Oh my gosh. Good. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I'm awake. I'm awake. It's crazy. So that's my story. So
that's a good one.
Having worked with other patients, people, and then just hearing stories through forums where I'm an admin or a moderator on the subject of MS. While I can't share like the particulars about patients because of, privacy things, I can definitely say that the people that I know who have MS, who did have a sleep study found a number of things and were able to treat them. And it really helped. And for one really common problem is restless leg syndrome.
Yes.
A lot of people have that. A lot of people with MS have it in particular because it's related to the muscles in your calves and how they cramp up in your upper legs, even in your hips. And people can't shake off that weird sensation, and it causes them to delay falling asleep. And then you don't get enough sleep at night. So that's a problem. And that can, then lead to daytime sleepiness. And then there's a similar thing called PLMD. And what that is, it's similar in a sense, maybe I would call it a cousin to RLS.
Okay.
PLMD is periodic leg movement disorder. And what that is once you're asleep, your legs, when you have this condition, will twitch on a periodic basis. And you can literally count the spaces between the movements in the legs across the course of the night. And what that does is it actually pulls you out of your deepest sleep. So you don't always get the deepest stages that you need for healing and just general getting better, feeling better and being restored. That's also pretty common. There's lots of people who have insomnia with MS for a boatload of reasons, but one of them is because they have OSA, sleep apnea, that they're not aware of. And what happens is they'll have these apneas, they'll wake them up and they'll think they're just awake because of the MS.
Right.
Because they're crossed wires in their brain, which, could also be the case. But it's worth checking out because you can fix that.
With a CPAP, you mean?
Oh, yeah. Or even an oral device or some other things. Now, the insomnia, they found, there was a study a few years ago. It was really mind-altering to me. They studied people with insomnia that was really hard to treat. And something like 91% of them, even after treating it with medications and everything, they went in and had sleep studies, and 91% of them had some kind of sleep breathing disorder.
Wow.
So, it's way more common than you think.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sleep apnea is also common in people with MS because it has to do with, messages between your brain and different parts of your body. So you have respiratory dysfunction because of MS too. So, and then there are other reasons why we might have problems with sleep. Could be because of our medications or steroids. That's a biggie.
Yes.
At steroids, you can't, what is sleep? You can't sleep when you're on steroids.
Exactly. But I will say my house has never been cleaner.
True. So bright side.
And if you saw my house right now, you'd know it's been a while since I've been on steroids. Well, perhaps I need another dose.
Welcome to my world. I've never had steroids. Probably I should have them just for that reason.
It's not good.
And then also we gain weight, and that can actually, from steroids or even from inactivity, because MS can make it hard to exercise. And then you can develop OSA just because you gained some weight and you carry this extra fat in your neck, and it presses on your airway and it creates. So there's a lot of sleep disorders out there. I mean, those are just some of the examples. Those are the main ones, though.
Yeah. Well, it seems like that's just, you could say that across the general population. And certainly we MSers tend to be overachievers anyway.
Right. If you're going to do it right.
Bring it all on. So it would seem like it makes a lot of sense if you're having trouble sleeping, or I was going to say excessively tired, but we're always excessively tired. But it would make sense to check it out. Well, so that leads well into my next question, which is, how do we know the difference between like a medical sleep disorder or maybe just going through a tough time sleeping? Like at what point should you seek professional help? Or do you just go, well, it's just a tough time and in a week or two, I'll be fine?
That's a good question. And,
thanks. Give me a good answer.
It's a great question because that's how we live with MS too. Because every time we have one little change in our physical, sensation, it's like, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
I mean, that happens to be every day.
Right. And you can't jump at I'd be in my doctor's office every other day if I jumped at everything. Yes.
Right. Exactly. And so how to know? Well, that's a good question. And so let's start with insomnia, because that's probably the most common sleep disorder that everybody has. And there are we have to kind of understand what insomnia is, first of all. So the definition of insomnia is the struggle to either fall asleep, to maintain sleep throughout the night, to fall asleep after you've woken up, or to wake far too early and not be able to fall asleep again. Okay. So it doesn't mean just I can't sleep at night, when I go to bed. It means, I woke. A lot of women in particular have that 3 a.m. wake up call, and then they're laying there and they're like, I can't sleep and I can't get up.
I'm familiar. Yes.
Yes. So insomnia can either be acute, which means it's really disruptive, but it only lasts a few days or one night or, or it could be, and that's usually related to stress and anxiety and things that are just going on in your life. And we've all been through that. And then there's chronic insomnia, which happens most nights of the week for at least 4 weeks. And that's usually related not only to stress and anxiety, but to maybe some physical conditions or problems or mental health issues.
Gotcha.
And acute insomnia can turn into chronic if you just don't treat it. So it's kind of you have to kind of pay attention to your body like we are supposed to do anyway. And it's never a bad idea to just mention your sleep problems to your doctor anytime you see any doctor, whether it's your primary or your neurologist for MS or even your dentist. They can help you. If they don't really show interest and you're concerned about your sleep, push the issue, because some doctors still aren't on board with the idea that sleep is that important, but it kind of is. Yeah. I mean,
then those are the people that have no trouble sleeping, because once you've had trouble sleeping, you understand how pervasively horrible it can make your life.
Absolutely. So definitely it's one of my goals, personal goals, to really push that all doctors make questions about sleep part of their vital signs every time they have a patient encounter, because it would open up their minds to a lot of root causes for things. I mean, it's crazy. So
great idea.
But there are other underlying sleep disorders that should send off warning flags, such as dream enactment behaviors. So if you wake up and your bed partner says, wow, you were up and walking around last night and you didn't take an Ambien, which could be reason why, right? But if you're up and walking around, or maybe thrashing around in bed and you have no recall of it, or you do recall it, and you're thinking, I was acting out a dream, that is not normal. So and a lot of spouses see that in their bed partners and don't really think about it being abnormal, but it really is. You need to have that checked out.
Oh, okay.
So that's one. Look for that.
No. Okay.
Yes. Let's see. That's kind of one of the bigger ones. And then also, if you have really excessive daytime sleepiness, that's almost always going to point to something being wrong. People should be awake during the day. And if you know that, well, I'm really sleepy today because I was up till 2 this morning working on a project. Okay, well, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you're just tired all the time, every single day, and you're really thinking you're getting enough sleep, that could mean something else. It may not be related to MS. It might be another condition. It might be a sleep disorder, or it might be a drug interaction. It could be any of those things.
Yeah.
So
talk to your doctor.
Yes, talk to your doctor. Any kind of unpleasant leg sensations, either while you're falling asleep or if you wake up in the middle of the night. If your spouse or bed partner says your legs move all night and you don't notice, get that checked out.
Yeah.
Any heavy, loud snoring. I mean, like it's a joke, like the neighbors can hear you.
Yeah.
Get that checked out.
Gotcha.
And if anyone sees you choking in your sleep, have that checked out. Those are all really big, signs.
Yeah, those are big.
Yeah.
I'm taking notes because everything you just said, my husband does. So whatever.
Your husband and everybody else's husband.
And I have taken, I probably shouldn't admit this, but whatever. I have taken to wearing earplugs at night.
Good.
And it's not just my husband, it's also my dog.
And a dog.
Both of those two, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I was getting no sleep and I said, all right, I'm plugging my ears.
You bring up a really, really good point. A lot of people don't have sleep problems, but their sleep partners do.
Yeah.
And then that keeps them up all night, and then they're sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And so good for you for taking that extra step. Some people will literally sleep in another room, and that's okay too. I mean, you've got to get your sleep. And if the other person isn't going to do anything about it, you still have some options.
Amen, sister. Plug those ears, I say.
Plug them. Yeah.
So great lead in. Again, to my next question, why is sleep so important? I mean, not just to our community, but just in general. Why is sleep so important?
Well, sleep is it's not a static and inactive or passive process. It's a super active process. It seems like we're not doing anything, right? Mm-hmm. And, sure, there's we're just resting the body thing, but we're actually doing more than resting our body. We're doing a lot of kind of dynamic things in our sleep that we don't do while we're awake. Okay. Mm-hmm. Some of those include, in one stage of sleep in particular, your body releases something called human growth hormone, HGH. Mm-hmm. Okay. And that goes into your bloodstream, and it literally goes to your cells and works its way out and rebuilds, any of the insults and injuries of the day, or, injuries that you're healing from, or illness or whatever. It goes in there and repairs. So you need that like construction crew to enter your bloodstream and go and fix things. But if you don't get enough sleep, you don't get that release. And that's really, really important. That comes in the later, deeper stages of sleep that not everyone can get if they're getting really broken, fragmented sleep. That's really important. Then the other stage that's also super important is REM sleep, which is the dream sleep where your eyes are moving, and it's actually a super active. It's at least as active as you are when you are awake.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain waves are just hopping at that time too.
Yeah. I wish my Fitbit would catch up with that, because I am busy at night. I am running and I got a lot going on at night, but I wake up, my Fitbit says nothing. Pisses me off.
Yeah, I know. It's good to know that you are dreaming. If you don't, everyone does dream a little bit, maybe, unless you're really sleep deprived and not, there's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't get REM sleep. But REM sleep is really important because think of your brain as a computer. What it's doing while you're asleep is it's consolidating all the memory and learning that you did during the day. And it's literally sending in a cleaning crew and sweeping out all the waste and the garbage in your brain. All our cells.
That imagery. That's great.
Yeah, our cells kick out waste products, and we have to get rid of them somehow. But without REM sleep, that's like the time to do it.
Yeah.
That's, like you're going to have the cleanup crew come in after a day's work in the office building, and they're in there cleaning while we're sleeping. Well, think about that. You need those people in there.
Yeah. Get the cleanup crew in there. I like it.
And the thing is, they also know that without sleep, we will die. I mean, this is harsh truth, but the record is 11 consecutive days without sleep. And then people will die. And that's been shown, not in an experiment. I believe that was just, they discovered that and traced it back and whatnot. And no one volunteered to do that.
Wow.
But it only takes like 3 or 4 days to start hallucinating and to like sort of lose it, after not getting any sleep. So this is why sleep deprivation is considered a tool of torture, right?
Oh, gotcha. Right.
So after 11 days, though, you're done. So, I mean, it's like food and water and really movement. If you don't use your body and move, you're have muscle wasting and all this. So,
and that's related too. For me anyway, I think you're going to agree with this, that if I don't move during the day, I don't sleep as well at night. Like I need exercise. Yeah.
You are absolutely right. One of the best things you can do that's just free to do, you can do it anytime, is to just get up and move around, especially in the morning, and especially if you can in the morning light outside. Those things really are healthy, and you don't have to go gangbusters. You can just go for a walk to the corner and back.
Leisurely.
In 10 minutes. Yeah. What's that?
Leisurely. It doesn't have to be.
Yes, leisurely. Just get out and get some sunshine and move those, muscles and joints and bones and just circulate. It really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I always think I have to tire it out to expect it to sleep.
No. No. Yeah, I love it that we have these apps now that remind us to get out of our chairs, because I'm a writer. And
you're right. Me too. I love it and I hate it at the same time, because it'll buzz and be like, get up, and I'm going, oh my God, one more paragraph. Just let you know.
Oh my gosh, you just described my whole workday right there.
Yeah. And it's
even
like
if it's just to go get a cup of coffee.
I know. Get up late. For me, it's going to take, I'm waiting for somebody, Fitbit, whomever, listen up, because I think you would do yourselves big favors by having something announced, and be ugly about it. I need somebody to go, hey, fat ass, get up and move. I mean, really, like shake me up a little bit because right now I'm just ignoring it. I'm going, oh yeah, buzz, but I need somebody to shake me and go.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Move it or lose it, lady.
Right? Use it or lose it. That's so true. I'm there with you. I would buy that.
Me too. All right. So do you have some suggestions on sleep hygiene that anyone could use? And by the way, what the hell is sleep hygiene? I keep hearing that term and I'm not, I think I know, but what is it?
Yes, because some people think of sleep hygiene as having clean sheets, which,
take
actually
a bath before bed.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. You should have clean pajamas and clean sheets. It's important.
Yeah. Right.
But sleep hygiene is really about doing everything you can to make sleep possible. So that means checking in with your environment. Is your room really dark? It should be as dark as you can safely keep it. That could be pitch dark. I mean, some people have, whatever. It has to be really quiet. Mm-hmm. So earplugs
Amen.
are good sleep hygiene.
Yeah, good.
Also, the temperature of the room is important. A lot of people like their rooms much warmer than they should be. It's better to keep a cool room and to have a lot of blankets that you can take on and off.
Yeah.
Because your body actually needs, it needs to have a circadian dip in temperature overnight for you to really have a good sleep period.
Oh, so, interesting.
Yeah, you definitely, I think I'm thinking like 4 a.m. is when your body is literally at its coldest. That's also when you're really deep in sleep or should be. Mm-hmm. Your body kind of needs to go down in temperature before it comes back up again. And that's just all part of that circadian system.
So interesting.
Yeah. So just the dynamics of the space that you sleep in, that's really important. And make it comfortable, have clean, fresh sheets and cozy blankets and as many pillows as you like and whatever it is that makes you really want to be in there and sleep. And, remove things that might, keep you from sleeping, like a TV set or
I knew you were going to say a TV. Dag nabbit.
I know. We all have to. I have a TV set in my room, but I haven't used it in years. So.
Oh, I was going to say thank you for admitting it, but I use it every night, which I shouldn't admit, but I do because I have to watch my Stephen Colbert every night. And then, but the funny thing is, I fight sleep to stay up and watch him, and then I fall asleep mid monologue.
Well, TV, I think, is maybe it's across the room. I even think. Well, I think I read. There's a famous sleep doctor, Dr. William Dement, and he said, I think I'm going to give you a soft pass on the TV because even he watches TV to fall asleep. It's kind of part of our lifestyles. As long as you're not watching something that's super like stimulating,
engaging,
or makes you really angry. I remember working in sleep lab and we had a TV that we would have just so that, it takes like half hour, 45 minutes to get a patient ready for their study. Mm-hmm. And I would just use it to just talk to the people, but sometimes they would want to turn on the TV and it's like, whatever makes them comfortable. Right. Mm-hmm. But some people would turn on a news station and it would just be people barking at each other. And I was like, we need to just take that off the satellite. They can't have that as an option because they are just so revved up and then they can't fall asleep. Well, yeah, of course not. You're all revved up and anxious.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So TV's not so bad.
Okay.
Other kinds of screens.
Oh boy.
Bad. I'm sorry to say it.
Well,
we all love our iPhones when we go to bed. Really, this is the thing that's really helped me because I do use my phone as an alarm. Like
right.
But I charge it and set it for an alarm and leave it in the bathroom. And it does two things.
Makes you get up.
Obviously makes you get out of bed and turn it off.
Smart.
Which means that you have to get out of bed and then I can't check it at all.
Oh yeah. Oh,
it really it works. Just try it for a week. Just give yourself a week to do it. You'll just keep doing it. It's like great. And the reason why we do this, and we should do this also with our ebooks if they don't have filters on the screens, our laptops and any kind of handheld device that you're holding close to your face. There's an issue with the blue spectrum light that they emit. Now, blue spectrum light, when your eye eye perceives it through these photoreceptors, it sends a signal to the brain that says, we don't need melatonin, because it's sunny outside, basically. Yeah. It mistakes that light for sunlight, natural sunlight, because it's so bright.
Right.
And the thing is, melatonin is a hormone we absolutely need in order to fall asleep.
Yeah.
So if we shut down our own melatonin, then we're just going to lay there. And then what happens is people pick up their phone and they go online and they find an insomnia support group, and they're staring at this phone that's giving them insomnia, going, oh my God, why can't I sleep?
Right.
Well, yeah, you're doing it to yourself. So, and it doesn't help. You really can't just take melatonin and then be on your phone. I mean, you really just have your own melatonin. Just use what you got. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really work that way. So,
good point.
Yeah. So any of those. And the thing is, you can do things about those too. If you have a job where you have to work late, I get that. You can put filters that block the blue light on your screens.
Or get those glasses, right? Like the Swannies.
Yes. The glasses are great. I love those. I got those for both of my college age daughters. They wear them because they have, they're studying.
Yeah, right.
Or you can also find some reading lights that aren't super bright that block out that blue light. So if you use, I read on an ebook which has a filter. But when I read a regular book, I don't use a lot of those super bright lights because they're so bright. I use this other kind of light. I can send you a link to what it is later. I can't think of the name of it. But it actually has a filter, and then you can read without worrying about that. Oh,
I'd appreciate that. I'll put all of these in the show notes. And I'm looking at my phone right now, and I can actually, it's an iPhone, and I can drag up from the bottom and change the background, the light. What am I trying to say? How bright it is, the brightness of it.
Yes, the brightness, and then also adding a filter. I think it's I can't think of the name of it, but there is an app built right into iPhone so that you
There's an app for that.
Yes, there's an app for that, for sure.
Excellent.
And then going back to other sleep hygiene things, they're just common sense things we all kind of know anyway. Like, don't drink coffee right before bed.
Right.
But really don't drink coffee really after lunch. I mean, because it may wear off. It has a half-life of, I don't know, so many hours, but then the rest of it still has to be metabolized. And so you're still going to have problems if you drink too late.
I just finished drinking some coffee, but whatever. Okay.
I'll do that. Well, I mean, it's not 5. I would say before 5. Definitely 4, after 4.
Right. Okay. Good.
Or decaf,
Yeah.
And then don't drink alcohol at bedtime.
Yes. I was just going to bring that up because I have done systematic studies on this. Repeatedly. And I just did one again the other night, and I'm telling you, nothing's changed. I still can't sleep if I've had, and my tipping wine. I can have 1 glass of wine, 2 glasses, forget it. And I'll go right to sleep, but I'll wake up and then I can't get back to sleep.
And the reason is simple. It's a drug, and it has a withdrawal, factor. Once your body metabolizes it, your body kicks in and has a withdrawal response, and then that kicks in stress hormones, and then you're awake.
Oh, God. And particularly if you choose an alcohol that is high sugar as well. I'm not pointing any fingers or suggesting anything, but I'm just going to tell you right now that Fireball will keep you awake.
Yeah. I'm sure it will.
I'm not going to go down that road, but New Year's I saw New Year come in. Thank you very much.
True. So so the alcohol thing is, really at least give yourself at least 2 hours before bed, and just kind of put a buffer in there. And then other things like smoking can actually, it has a dual impact. It can actually relax people, but it can also keep them up at the same time. It's kind of weird that way. And then if you're having issues with sleeping, because we have MS, we are usually taking more than one medication or supplement. Really take it and sit down and review them. And maybe not with your doctor. You could even just talk to your pharmacist and ask them, what are the interactions? And they could go through and they would love to. Pharmacists are great that way.
Yeah.
And look at that. And even like medical marijuana, it is being, touted as the big savior for insomniacs, but it has side effects, and it also shifts your sleep architecture, which you don't want to do because that can shortchange you those important stages of sleep we talked about, the periods where you can heal and clean up your brain and so forth. So, Wow,
this is a lot to take in.
There's a lot, yes.
This is so interesting.
Oh, my pleasure. I love it.
This is so interesting. Yeah. So, can you talk a little bit about circadian rhythms? And is that why my teenagers just want to sleep all the damn time and I wake up early every damn morning? Is that what circadian rhythms are? Okay.
You got it. And it's normal. And don't hold it against them. They can't help it. They really can't.
Oh, pisses
they really
me off,
can't.
Whatever. I know. I did it too when I was their age, so I can't be mad at them. I'm a little mad at my own body for, always waking up so early, but whatever.
Well, here's something that's really interesting that we've learned, and that's that back before the 1970s, kids went to school later.
Yeah.
So people older than us, when I was your age, as they would say, or this is what we say now to our own kids.
Yes, exactly.
When I was your old. Well, back in the day, kids didn't go to school until closer to 9 in the morning, which was when, businesses open and so forth.
Right. When kids should be in school.
Yes, when kids should, absolutely. The science points that out. But somewhere in the 70s, there was, there was a need to change that. And I think it has to do with busing, and it has to do with all kinds of there's a lot of factors involved in making that decision. So now we have these kids that are going to school at like 7 in the morning.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And it's right in the middle of that last sleep period that they absolutely need. It's your longest REM period of your entire cycle, and it's the one that does you the most good.
Yeah.
And they have to wake up in the middle of that. And when you wake up in the middle of a REM period, it's just not good. I mean, working in the sleep lab, at the end of a study, I could see a patient in REM, and then even if it was time for their study to be up, you'd have to wait for them to finish. I mean, it's really important not to wake up people in their REM sleep. So, but we're asking our kids to do that every day.
Yes. And they're cranky.
They're cranky. Well, they're more than cranky. They're doing a lot of things. They're getting more athletic injuries on their sports teams. Their academic performance is poor or fails. They have drowsy driving problems, big time. They have mood disruptions. I mean, teenagers are already going to be a little moody. This is going to be a lot of moody, and that means they're relying on like Red Bull and coffee just to stay awake in the day, and then they have behavior issues, but also an increase in problems like suicidal ideation. So we can't treat this as like, well, they're just lazy teenagers, because they experience something called a phase shift, and that's a circadian issue, because we're all kind of, well, I'll get into what circadian rhythms are, but to describe teenagers, basically, their body doesn't really even, and their brain doesn't really even feel the need to shut down until closer to midnight or even a little bit later. And so just to go to bed at 10 is not an answer. They'll just lay there for 2 hours. Right. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So it's kind of pointless to do that and expect them to get a full 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night, which is what they should be getting. So, but more to the point of what circadian rhythms are, we used to think that there was just one big regulator of these rhythms in our bodies, but all of our organs have their own circadian rhythms, and they tune into a master regulator in the brain. And this master regulator takes in information, usually through light photoreceptors in the eyes and sometimes in the skin, and tells us when we should sleep and when we should wake up. And those in turn are tuned into the light-dark cycles of our planet, our day, nights, even our seasons to a certain extent. So it's no wonder we feel like hibernating. If you live in the north and you feel like hibernating in the winter and the fall, that's because it's darker and your body is just, there's not enough light, and the body says, okay, it's time to sleep. And so that's why we feel sluggish. Yeah. So we're really tuned in. All living things have some kind of entrainment, is what they call it. The cycles of the planet. So to go against that is to kind of go against what we're hardwired to be, to nature. Yeah, exactly. And other things that kind of impact our circadian rhythms to a lesser extent, but still do, are our activity levels, and then also our meal times. So you've also probably noticed after lunch, you might have like a little period where you're a little sleepy. Yes. Maybe take a little nap after lunch or whatever. That's normal. That's normal. Everyone has like this dip in their circadian rhythms. Good. And then they pick up again. I know I do. And then I actually really wake up after that. Then I'm like flying. I'm really productive.
Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Yeah. So the circadian rhythms, they're all tied into these cycles that, at every level in our bodies are processing. Our digestive system has a circadian rhythm, but literally every cell does. So people have disorders of the circadian rhythms. Those include jet lag is a classic example. If you've ever had jet lag, because you're crossing over time zones while you're flying, and then you just don't feel right. That's a circadian rhythm hiccup.
Yeah.
It's, it's self, it clears itself by just going back to normal or by just staying there for a long enough time. But that's a classic example. But there are other ones that are far more sinister. Shift work disorders, one, I kind of talked about that. When you work overnight shift, that can really mess with your rhythms. Right. And there's been so much research on that, especially of nurses. And they've just really found that there's so many connections between disrupted sleep and circadian rhythms and then chronic illness like diabetes and cardiovascular disease and things like that. So mood disorders and so forth.
Yeah. New parents, I would imagine, would fall into that.
Say again?
New parents.
Oh gosh, yes. They seriously, oh my gosh, those poor souls. Yes. I
know, sleep deprivation at its worst.
Yes. And then of course you brought up the teenagers. They're sleep deprived mostly because they're not allowed the chance to finish their sleep because they have to go to school early. This is why they try to sleep in on the weekends, but then that actually kind of does an unnecessary reset of the rhythms again in a couple of days. And then they have that Monday morning, because now they have to get back and do it again. So it's just horrible. It's torture.
Yeah.
And then for some people, they have advanced sleep phasing, which means they get really sleepy super early. I have a friend who is like this, and he, even in college, he would just be, falling asleep at social events, like at 8:30 at night. It's like, oh my God, I've got to sleep. Then he'd get up at like 4 a.m. He's fine,
Right.
And then there are people, especially people who don't have their sight. They have something called non-24 sleep-wake disorder. Because they don't have sight, they have this sort of mismatch in rhythms because they don't have the ability to take in those light signals in a way that helps them maintain rhythms. And then there are some people who have what's called irregular sleep-wake rhythm. I actually know someone who has this, and she has to wear dark glasses during certain times of the day because her sleep cycles are all over the place. They're, one night she'll go to bed at 2 a.m, and then the next night she'll go to bed at 4 p.m. I mean, it's every day is different.
Gosh.
It's totally unlivable. I mean, you can't live with it. So,
no kidding.
So these, all of these disruptions are really hard to live with. And sometimes we do it to ourselves and we disrupt our own circadian rhythms because we go out on, New Year's Eve and stay up too late and practice poor sleep hygiene and
drink Fireball and whatever else.
All of that good stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But you can have too much sleep and you can have not enough sleep. In either case, if you maintain that kind of pattern, it's going to catch up with you. And it's not pretty, that's for sure.
No kid. How much sleep do we actually need? Or can you say that across the board, or is it individual?
Well, I can't really say it across the board. But for adults, 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And what I mean by adults is like age 18 to 65, I think is what they call that. Now, people older than 65 might have a need for less sleep. I actually have to look that one up because they just changed the rules on that and they've added some categories. But younger people need more sleep. Younger people need a good 9 hours of sleep. Teenagers should try to get 9, but I mean, come on, let's be realistic. That's not happening, But for you and I, set between 7 and 9 hours. Anything less than 7, then you're really. If it's one night every once in a while, not a big deal. But if it's every single night, you need to really watch it. That's because what you're doing is you're actually cutting, like I mentioned earlier, you're cutting out whole sleep stages that your body really needs. So it's like cheating on your vegetables, and cheating on your, not going to the gym or not drinking enough water. Yeah. Okay. Well, so one night, not a big deal. But if you keep doing that, it's
it'll catch up to it. Right.
It will.
Yes. Don't I know it? So does it matter when you sleep? I mean, I know that I see some folks in the FUMS community that are up and posting at 3 or 4 a.m. when I'm, when I'm in bed at 9 or 10. Now that doesn't mean I'm sleeping because I do have to watch my co-bear, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? And we can both sleep the same amount of time. We can get that, 7 to 9 hours. Does it matter?
That's a really good question. It actually only matters if you're not getting enough sleep or if it becomes a problem with your lifestyle and the demands of your life. So if you're going to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning and you're getting a full 8 hours of sleep, then, and it's not disrupting what happens to you the next day and it's not, making you feel bad because you can't make to, do things that you're supposed to do, those normal activities of daily living.
Right. Breakfast.
That's fine. As long as you're getting 8 consecutive hours of sleep.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just what we're born with, sort of a propensity to be either night owls or, I mean, they have all these new labels for what your chronotype is what they call it.
Holy smokes.
But yeah, I know. And there's a lot. You could be a bear, you could be a wolf. I mean, you have to look into that. It's kind of interesting. Once you figure out what your chronotype is, though, if you can live your life around it, then go right ahead.
Yeah,
it's fine.
right. Okay.
And know when your energy is high. I mean, that's why I do my hard projects later in the day, because my energy is like flying, know?
Recognize it.
But if you're if you're waking up a lot in the middle and even if you go to bed at 9 or 10, and if you're waking up frequently at night and you still get 8 hours in bed, but it's not all sleep, that's no good. So it matters less. And I think the problem for some people is that they really are night owls.
Yes.
But they have a job or they have children. They have to get out of bed. And so that's where it becomes really hard to manage.
An issue. Yep. My niece is like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, why do so many MSers have trouble sleeping? I mean, we get freaking tired all day and then we can't sleep at night. It's like the universe is playing a cruel trick on us.
I know. It's, oh boy. Well, sleep it's not just something where we just lay down. It's a neurochemical process. And so is MS in a sense. Yeah. There's a neurochemical imbalance in our brains that causes that. And so when you have problems with brain chemistry and brain signaling, you're basically, having conditions for these things to happen. Mm-hmm. So those mixed signals, they can leave you feeling really sleepy at inappropriate times during the day, or just keep you from having the sleep you need at night. So you might find it interesting, and I've been kind of following this for a while now, because I thought at one point I had narcolepsy, but they do know, genetically speaking, there is a linkage between narcolepsy and MS. So, and the whole neuroscience boom right now has been fascinating. It has really helped us to greatly understand things we didn't even have a clue about before, especially when it comes to sleep and MS. So that's an interesting thing that I'm sure they're going to continue to examine to see what could be learned and how we could benefit from that information. Right. The problem with having MS also is that many of us have pain and discomfort.
Yep.
Maybe it's not, I mean, I have pain. I have both. I have pain, but I also have the creepy crawlies and the numbness and all that. It doesn't really hurt, but it's really distracting, and it keeps you up.
The bugs. You feel like the bugs.
The bugs.
Oh my God. I hate that.
Sweeping across your whole body. It's so weird.
Ugh.
And so even during the day, pain and discomfort like that, it's your body struggling to, keep up with the signals from the brain.
Right.
And so it's exhausting then.
Yes.
And then at night, then you can't sleep because it's still happening.
Yes.
So that's one of the reasons why we do struggle with just in general having MS, but also taking medications or even supplements, like we talked about earlier, there's side effects.
Yeah.
There's also, there's so many different things. There's the symptoms of MS. There's the side effects from the medications you take for the symptoms of MS, and then for the symptoms or the side effects of the MS medications, then you take another medication like
for those,
diarrhea or whatever. Then you take Imodium, and then that can create a side effect. Yeah. And then suddenly you have all this just chemical soup that you're taking every day. I call it my second breakfast or my cocktail or whatever. And you become this walking chemistry experiment.
Right, exactly.
It does a number on our circadian rhythms and on our, processes like sleep.
Right.
And then certain specific symptoms of MS, like pain, are definitely going to, kind of walk hand in hand with our sleep problems. And one of them is depression.
Yes.
And so it's hard, again, that's one where you don't know, is it depression or is it MS, or is it the MS causing depression, or is it depression that is independent of the MS, or who knows what.
Right.
Or it could be just seasonal. I mean, who even knows? So that depression can lead to problems with insomnia as well as daytime sleepiness,
Yeah. Right.
And then another one, which, happens to me more than I like to think, is problems with your bowel I mean, and that's a problem for people with MS.
Right.
And it's a problem at night if you have to get up. You're not supposed to be able to, you shouldn't be getting up having bowel movements. That's not normal.
Right.
Of course, lucky us with MS, we get to enjoy that. So that's another thing that disrupts our sleep,
Right. Yeah. The many, many ongoing gifts of MS.
Yes, I know. Yes, it keeps on giving.
Woo-hoo, it really is. So I've heard of sleep coaches. I'm using air quotes. You can't see it, but I'm using air quotes. Sleep coaches. Is that a thing? Is that really a thing?
It is. There are people that will go through these pretty expensive programs to be trained to coach people, a lot of times to help their children sleep through the night, but for adults too. But I'm a little hesitant to recommend them. And
I hear that in your voice, some hesitancy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm picturing, when I see sleep coach, I'm picturing somebody standing on the side of your bed with a whistle. Yeah. In a white and black striped shirt going, now go to sleep.
Yes. No.
Drop and give me 50 and then go to sleep.
No, the idea, I mean, if you can think of a life coach, but for sleep, that's kind of what they're doing. And I don't really have an issue with that because
whatever works.
For people, for some people, if it is insomnia, but the problem is that they're not medically trained usually.
Oh.
And so they don't necessarily know to look for the signs of underlying sleep disorders, which are medical.
Right.
It's like sleep apnea. That's a huge one. If someone is having a lot of insomnia and they maybe are a little overweight, and they snore. Yeah. They really shouldn't be coaching them. They should be saying, go to your doctor.
Right.
And I don't know if they're actually doing that. However, there are certain people who could make great sleep coaches and do, and those would be doctors. Yeah. There are doctors who have, coaching sessions for people with insomnia that are confirmed diagnosed insomnia who need some kind of cognitive behavioral training.
Yeah. That's
great. I highly recommend it. That is the number one gold standard method for getting over insomnia these days. It's not with drugs. It's with CBTI is what they call it. Okay. Or you can talk to someone who is a clinical sleep educator like myself, who has, maybe has some kind of a relationship or connection to a sleep physician or sleep specialist. And you can talk to them and then they can, look at more than just behaviors, but also symptoms that might be something that are overlooked by someone who doesn't have medical background.
Right.
So the problem, I think, mostly is with children, because we have a lot of kids who are diagnosed with ADHD, and some of them have ADHD, but some of them have sleep apnea. A lot of the symptoms of sleep apnea behaviorally in children mimic those of those kids who have ADHD. Wow. So you can't know until they have a sleep study. And a lot of kids are misdiagnosed with ADHD who don't have it, who are then treated for it. But really, they just need a CPAP.
Yeah.
And then they would do better. So we've got to be really careful. And even some pediatricians miss this, though it's getting way, way better. But that's why I kind of hesitate on the sleep coach thing, because I'm not sure that they're catching the full range of things that need to be observed.
Right. Well, that makes sense. You have this wonderful website, sleepyheadcentral.com. Aww. Tell everybody about that site and what you do there.
Oh, thank you for asking. It's my little baby. I created Sleepyhead Central in 2013. This was part of my exploration after I was first diagnosed with that IH and that UARS, like I told you earlier. I'm a journalist by trade, and so I'm an info junkie. And so, like many people, I went to the internet. It's not always the best idea.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's not, but we all do it. Myself included, and I'm, someone who knows better, but I did it too. This is, again, before I was diagnosed with MS and before I was a sleep professional. But when I went on the web, I found the information was either like super generic and didn't really describe my particular issues, or it was super institutional and so like sanitized that I just felt like, okay, that's great. I can kind of get over, it's like reading a textbook, but
trying to discern.
humanize it. Yeah, it's not humanized. And so, but then I started looking at just sleep medicine news, and that's where all the good stuff is. But it's really hard to break down because a lot of it's coming from research studies and
pretty medically dense.
Medically dense, beyond the pale for most people. Even as a science writer and researcher, I still have to break down terms and studies, and it takes a while. So, I mean, for the just ordinary layperson, that can be really hard to break apart. So I saw that at about the same time, I wanted to make a switch to become more of a science writer, science reporter. So I created this after following I went back to school to become a sleep technologist, first of all. That was because I wanted those credentials so I could, and I was always fascinated with sleep.
Yeah.
And then I was diagnosed, and then I started learning more, and it just kind of fed into this clearinghouse that I decided to build for people like me who are looking for information and updates on news and research regarding sleep medicine. That was something that it was palatable for them, accessible, that they could understand and say, oh, aha, that's what that is. Or, ooh, maybe I need to talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So kind of putting them into the right direction, because there's also a lot of really bad information.
Right. And so you cull it for people. And
I cull it. I call myself a curator. I curate a lot of things. So I find the good stuff and I share that. I do some original content. So I write about things, and it's more of like a breaking stuff down, complicated things down in terms that most people can understand. That's sort of the effort. I actually really love doing that. That's something I've always loved doing. So that's what I do there. It took me about a year to actually build the website, and then I launched it in 2014. And then this September is its 5th anniversary. Yay.
Wow.
And then now this year I'm expanding it. I'm kind of beefing up some of the basic foundational page content, and probably going to blog a little less because it's mostly blog posts and curatorial matter. But I'm going to add a new podcast later in the year.
I was hoping you were going to talk about it, because I was going to make you talk about it and put it out there. And then it's all about accountability, because it's out there now.
Yes.
So it
now I have to do it. Oh,
yes,
no,
you do.
I have to do it. I'm excited, though, because
it's so exciting.
I mean, it's going to be called Zcast. Triple Z cast, and it's going to be a combination of things. It's going to have some interviews. It's going to have some educational material, but I want it to be listener friendly. I want it to be kind of fun. I mean, it's a serious topic, but you can still approach these topics in a way that people
We've had fun here today.
Understand. Yeah. Right. I mean, talking about the cleaning crew in your brain, things like that.
In your brain, and don't drink Fireball after a certain time. There's fun to be had in this conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where I want to take it, because I think people just really do not, it's easy to sort of intellectualize, sleep is a problem, but then it's hard to relate to, or it's hard to really do anything about. Yeah.
Now what? Sometimes,
because our the way our lives are structured or whatever. And so I'm hoping to introduce some kinds of solutions, or just break, open up opportunities. If there are research studies that people could participate in, maybe they could learn from them, from that, or, all kinds of stuff. So I'm still narrowing down how I'm going to format it, what the segments are, and I'm listening to all the music, and I'm doing all that kind of technical stuff. So I'm doing that. And then another addition I'm going to bring to Sleepyhead Central this year is an actual discussion forum. So if people had questions, they can just come directly to me or to the forum and ask them. And then people could share their experiences. Because I think generally across the board in medical education for patients and people looking for information, there is this lack of the patient's voice.
Amen.
It really is. And I think that when I go to sleep conferences, there aren't patients there sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, why aren't they here?
Right.
Because they should be part of that. I definitely believe in patient-centered healthcare.
Me too.
And I do. And it's something I'm really ambitious about. So I really want to inject many patient stories as I can into the podcast and bring them forward in the discussion groups, because we can all help each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can be very frustrating when you're not getting enough sleep. There can be lots of obstacles to getting better, whatever it is that's failing you.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know what? I just realized that we have downplayed something that is so important in this conversation, and that is the fact that you yourself have MS.
Yes. And, well, I mean, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, right. But if nothing else, that speaks to your ability to speak to this. I mean, you've got MS, you know what this is like. And
that's interesting. When I worked in the lab, I felt like I could really feel for my patients because I also had a sleep disorder, more than one. And then it turns out that a lot of people in the field also have. That's why they gravitate to become sleep techs, is because they're like, oh, people need to know. And again, it's like, I'll tell you what, I have had patients that come in and they have really severe sleep apnea. And then you treat them one night with CPAP and they wake up and they are literally a different person. And they are crying saying, oh my gosh, I have not had a full night's sleep in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, I mean, what a great job, the privilege I have of being the witness to that. So, I mean, I'm a writer and I've always wanted to just use my writing to help people. So Sleepyhead Central and some of my other work as a writer, it's all about that. And it's always comes back to the people. And having an illness is one of those like hidden blessings because you have an access point to people that, like you mentioned earlier, a doctor who's never had a sleep problem, they're not going to get it.
That's right. Exactly.
So,
Well, thank you for doing all this. If people have more questions for you or want to find out more from you, how do they find you? I mean, I'm assuming they can go to sleepyheadcentral.com, but are there other social media?
Yes. My email is sleepyheadcentral@gmail.com. Super easy.
Easy.
And then I'm all over social media. I'm in Twitter, Facebook. I'm in Reddit, Quora. Those are not social media, but they're forums.
Yeah. And
Tumblr, I just started. I still haven't figured out Tumblr yet.
Oh my God, girl, me neither. If you figure that out, you can help me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No kidding. Okay, we'll be in touch.
Hook me up on that. So, how do they find you? What's your
handles? Okay, so Twitter, my handle is Sleepyhead CTRL. Sleepyhead CTRL. That's just because I didn't give me enough characters to do that.
Okay, got it.
And then you can just go to Facebook and look up Sleepyhead Central. I have a page there. You can find me under my name, Tamara Sellman, TAMARA, S as in Sam, ELLMAN, in LinkedIn.
And I just want to point out that all of this will be in the show notes for everybody. So don't run off the road if you're driving to write this down. I got it. I got your show notes, people.
Please, no drowsy, crazy driving. Right. And then I do answer a lot of questions in Quora, and I do have a subreddit labeled Women's Sleep Health, all one word.
Cool.
So you can ask me questions there, and I have some topics started. And then I actually do have now, brand new, an unattended show line. So you can call this number and leave a message. And you could leave a comment, you can leave a question, you can leave a suggestion. Just be nice. Don't leave any, pranks or anything. Please don't. But it's for people who have questions and just don't know who else to turn to. And you can call me, and that's kind of dedicated to the show, but it's really dedicated to everything I'm doing at Sleepyhead, because I could also use that question for a blog post. Sure. I could use it in a discussion forum, and I could put it out there. And so any question or comment that anyone leaves for me I could populate that out in the world and really help a lot of people by answering it. So I highly recommend you call. And that number is 206-289-0671.
Excellent. And again, this will all be in the show notes.
Yes.
So finally, we here in the FUMS Nation speak to this stupid disease as it deserves to be spoken to, and we tell it FUMS every damn day. Would you please lead us in our mantra as we salute MS, of course, with our middle finger extended? Are you ready? Okay. Yes. 1, 2, 3.
FUMS.
I love it. Perfect. Said with such soul and heart. Thank you so much.
It was so fun to be here. Thanks for talking.
This was a blast. This was so interesting. I think you really helped a lot of people today, and I so appreciate it.
So. And again, if people have questions, just ping me. I am always around. That's what I do. So it's never a problem.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you listening to the FUMS podcast show. Be sure to subscribe to it so you won't miss an episode. You can do that right on the website at FUMSnow.com. While you're there, sign up for the free email list so you'll be among the first to know of any new findings in MS research, new therapies and products, as well as any blog posts and podcast episodes I release. Want to chat with others in the FUMS community? Join us on Facebook at FUMS Now. Thanks again, and don't forget to talk to the stupid disease as it deserves. Tell it FUMS every day.